Today we're talking about one of the most important things that you can prepare for, and that's an EMP, or an electromagnetic pulse. Let me tell you on the front end, it's not entirely 100% possible to EMP-proof your life. But in the event of an electromagnetic pulse in the future, you're going to want to have done everything you can on this side of an event to protect some electronics and key information that is represented among your family. So stay tuned as we talk about practical ways to EMP-proof your life. I would love to be able to take the time to sit down with you across the table and tell you about all the different versions of EMPs and all the ways to prepare for them. Unfortunately, neither of us have enough time, so I hope you're going to do your research online and find out about especially the most specific 3 different types of EMPs that we should be preparing for in the future as possibilities. An EMP is an electromagnetic pulse, and what happens is if there was such a pulse of the magnetic field that it could actually short circuit everything that conducts electricity or any kind of a current. So cars could potentially be rendered useless, as well as a lot of your small electronics in your home. Even entire electronic grids could go down throughout the country if an electromagnetic pulse was strong enough and in the right position. So considering the threat of this that could come from any kind of a nuclear blast, or even an EMP that's set off that is completely unknown to us until all of the grid goes down, it's important for us to have measures in place in our homes that we're able to EMP-proof as many of the things as we are able to on the front end, so that we're not affected in the event of an actual EMP. Let me talk about some specifics. First, I want to tell you what you might want to protect, and secondly, how to protect those and how not to protect those, okay? So talking about some of the things you might want to put in some sort of an EMP-proof packaging, or you'll hear us call it a Faraday cage, because a gentleman by the name of Faraday actually invented this years ago, a way to protect electronics from sort of any kind of an electromagnetic pulse. Some of the things that you might want to protect would be this. Any kind of laptop computer, any kind of cell phone that you have, any kind of hard drive. This is a 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's small nowadays. There's terabyte hard drives out there, but any kind of those things might be affected by an EMP, as well as any electronics that are plugged in, including lamps with light bulbs in them. And so I would recommend that you have an extra store of light bulbs available in your pantry for you to be able to use at any time, in the event that the light bulbs that were in your light sockets actually had a pulse. And you've seen that, where they actually get bright and then sometimes can even blow out in the event of a brownout or a blackout in your area. Those are some of the items you would want to put in there. Also think of some other things like a voltage meter or voltage regulator. Batteries. Some folks are going to tell you batteries don't need to be protected. Some folks will. There is so much information on the internet that's a lot of speculation. Do your research carefully, and just in case you aren't sure where the line is, go on the safe side and protect a few of all of these things if there's somebody out there that is just absolutely certain that you should. So have an extra store of batteries, as well as a battery charger. Have a store of solar panels, or if you have some sort of a system that's generating energy for your home, you might want to have an extra set in there. Also, thumb drives with all of your pertinent family information on. So think about all of the family records and birth certificates and social security numbers that are stored probably on a laptop right now. Make sure you've backed those up on a good thumb drive that has your family's important information and wills and all of that stored on it in a protected place, so that you could easily access that after any kind of an event. High-frequency CBs, or some sort of a communication device, those are going to be handy. Also, a radio. You're going to want preferably a shortwave radio or even a ham radio. Think about this. The FM radio waves are the easiest affected. AM less affected, and shortwave, ham radios are going to be your best bet in the event that something went down. They'd be the last thing affected. Let's talk about, also one other thing I want to mention, a compass. Now, some people think those won't be affected. I'm going to tell you, if you have a magnetic compass, like so many of us use, if there was an electromagnetic pulse, it could really jigger with that compass and make it either telling you the wrong direction to go or just swap the polarity on it or something. So it's good to have a couple of those tucked away where they're protected from any kind of an electromagnetic pulse. All right, now let's talk about vehicles. Everybody wants to know what's the best BOV or bug out vehicle. And what they mean really is, in the event of a potential EMP, what vehicle is going to get me home the easiest? And if you have a newer vehicle, it's going to be very difficult for you to rely on that in the event that the electronics were fried in it and you couldn't get home. So think about this. What about having just an extra spare bicycle hooked on the back of your vehicle, or perhaps a skateboard thrown in the back? That's easy enough. That would help you do a lot more than just walking on your own to get home from work. Also, there is a motoped that has been invented that's kind of half motorcycle, moped type vehicle that carries a lot of bug out gear, as well as can be pedaled like a bicycle. That's a great option. There's also the Baja Warrior that I've heard others recommend, that is made, I think it's made in China, but it's already EMP proof and it's going to run you less than $500. It's a wonderful little kind of small motorcycle type vehicle that's going to get you a long ways, potentially 400 to 500 miles before it needs filled up with gas again. So something like that might be great for you to look into as an option. Now, I want to tell you right now, the expert that you should probably follow is Engineer 775 over at Practical Preppers. He's wonderful at knowing a whole lot more about EMPs and preparing your life. He even has a list of things that you need to have specifically prepared to be protected in a Faraday cage. So if you need to get more information, I would recommend him, but there are others who know a lot as well. So check out their channels. Just do your research, because there is a lot of wrong information out there and you want to get it from the experts who know what they're talking about and have even done tests. So the poor man's version of testing whether a Faraday cage works or not, or an EMP-proof room or whatever you've come up with, is to go ahead and take an AM radio, and I've got an old FM AM radio from the 80s I'm using today. We're going to test a couple of different places where people just are sure that they could have their own homemade Faraday cage. One of them commonly is the microwave, and one is the refrigerator. So let's give it a shot. We're going to get a good strong signal on here of an AM station, and we're going to put it in the microwave and just see if it works as an EMP-proof Faraday cage. So go with me on this.
And you think it's because they want to change you? It's the exact opposite. Frigo by RevolutionWear.com is underwear reimagined. The ideal solution for all that squirming and adjusting your experience.
We've got the door closed, and as you can tell, I'm going to hold the mic up here close, but it's got a good strong signal. There might be a little bit of static coming into it, but really it didn't even phase that signal that's getting through the microwave just fine. So clearly we've demonstrated that this is not what people think it's going to do as far as being a worthy Faraday cage to provide protection for any kind of electronics. So nix the microwave idea and let's go on to the fridge and see if we can get a fully metal refrigerator to be a good Faraday cage. Again, we've got the signal really good. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator here and shut the door. It sounds to me like we've got a pretty good signal. Now, notice on the side of this refrigerator, it also has this rubber gasket around the side that truly lets in plenty of signal. So obviously it renders it useless. The key to a good Faraday cage is a strong, absolutely perfect metal-to-metal connection so that all of the voltage can be caught in that metal current on that metal to metal connection. So that's why this rubber gasket around the refrigerator just renders it completely useless. And the same with a deep freeze that you might have on your back porch. All right, third test. We've tried the microwave, it didn't work. We tried the refrigerator, it didn't work. Same with a deep freeze out on the back porch. What we've got now is a metal garbage can. This is a small version of one, and what I like best about it is it has this wonderful seal all the way around the lid that makes the lid pretty hard to get off, but once you've got it off, it makes a wonderful connection. So if anything were to touch this as far as an electric current, it would conduct that electric current well and trap it in this outside metal part instead of letting it in to get into the electronics inside. So here we go with an AM channel again, nice and loud.
Business has actually been there for 40
And let's give this a
years.
shot.
All right.
Here we go.
Sounds good to me.
Nice and loud.
You know, if you just don't mess up some of their recipes and you add in.
Oh my, listen to that. It's already quieter and I don't even have the lid on, but let's put the lid all the way on. Oh my word, that is dead silent. Do you hear anything? I'm getting close to it so you can hear it in my mic. Literally, there is zilch. I can't even hear static. There is nothing coming out of that. Let's take it back out and see what we get.
Need a will. So hear me loud and clear.
All right.
Everyone needs a will. And you need a will.
I'll turn that off. You got to hear a little bit of Dave Ramsey. Wasn't that a good test? I mean, unbelievable. This is not even a lined garbage can, but the nice thing about it is it has a good, strong seal on it, and this plastic carriage that is around this radio is what was actually kind of the protector between the radio and the metal of the can. All right, let me talk to you about a couple of other versions that you might want to do. I've heard the experts say that to be very safe, you can, if you get extra car parts that are run on computers and electronics, you could store them inside of a garbage can, just like you saw here, the small version of. You can do a large version with a very tight sealing lid, but you would want to line it with something that is non-conductive to that current. So inside you might put some sort of a rubber or paper or thick towels, something that's going to keep anything that would touch the metal from touching it. You got the idea? And then you're going to set that inside of a larger can. So if you've got a couple of layers, it's going to be the most effective in the event of a really strong EMP current. All right, let me talk about a couple of other ways. You've heard of people using these are old tins from Grandma's house for cookies on Christmas Day. You can take a smaller one, put your electronics in it, and as long as I protect them so that they don't touch the metal inside, like this. Good example would be this, where I'm not letting any of it touch the metal inside. I can put that in here, and then I can actually nest it. Once I've got a good seal on this, I can nest it inside this larger cookie tin, and that's going to give it double layers of protection. Also, between these layers, between this and this, I'm going to want to also put some sort of a cloth or paper so that there's no chance that this metal touches this. So we've got good double layers of protection. Also, I mean, I just collect any good cans I get that have a good strong seal on them. And you notice this one even, this was chocolates from Germany. This actually comes with a nice little liner, but this is what we're talking about when we want you to have the bottom lined, the sides lined, and I'll even want to have something that lines the top before I put electronics in that and get that nice seal on there. And once it's nice and strongly sealed, I'll probably nest this inside something bigger like this metal can over here with a protective layer in between these. Those multiple layers of protection are going to be imperative to protecting even the smallest electronic parts. Another poor man's version, I'll just tell you, is to use aluminum foil. I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like the people that are like doomsday freak people that talk about tinfoil hats. Well, there's something legitimate about using tinfoil to protect your electronics. It really works. So what you would do is, say I wanted to protect this old cell phone, right? I would take and literally cover it in tinfoil and then put some sort of maybe paper towels all the way around that and cover it with another layer of tinfoil. That's a small version of an EMP-proof Faraday cage for this small electronic. This is an old cell phone, and I would just say you would definitely want to take some old cell phone that works well, that has all your stuff stored on it, like your contacts and your documents. It literally is like a small computer. You can take an old cell phone that has all of those things stored on it and tuck it away in your EMP-proof Faraday cage and be so thankful later, because it's unlikely. I'll tell you, they make protective bags that you can always store your cell phone in at any time. But if you're like me, it's just impractical to think of having your little Faraday bag protecting your cell phone all the time if you carry it with you. So probably the one that you're using could be very strongly affected. Same with your laptop. So having a backup laptop and cell phone with all the same information stored on it in your Faraday cage or Faraday bag is going to be so helpful in the event that you were to have to endure any kind of an EMP situation. All right, let me just encourage you, go out and do your own research on this. There is so much more I couldn't cover in this short video, but there is a great deal of knowledge and information that you need to gather regarding the different kinds of EMPs and how they could affect your home. Learn from credible sources. There are a great deal of folks out there that are doing videos and writing blogs on things they don't really know about and putting a lot of misinformation out. So be careful who you listen to, but do your research. Prepare yourself, your family, your home for the potential of an electromagnetic pulse in the future. Until I see you on the next video, thank you for joining us. Pass this along to somebody else who might benefit from this, and start preparing your home and your life and your family for the future. There's so much that we can learn from the past as we prepare for the future. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next video. Hey, before you go, if you have a favorite scripture, will you share it in the comments below so that we can share it possibly on the end of one of our little videos like this? Today we received this one, and it's so encouraging, from Dorothy Lee. It's out of Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. It says, "Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's anything that is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things." Now go spread the word.